support in Europe has been growing to join the United States in banning Russian oil. For more on what's been driving those oil prices, let's bring in Halima Croft. She's the head of global commodity strategy at RBC Capital Markets. She's also a CNBC contributor. And Halima, this move yesterday, this idea that the EU is actually ready to start banning Russian oil, how seriously do you take that?
I mean, we still have a situation where Germany remains very opposed to doing an embargo on Russian energy. They are so dependent on Russian oil and natural gas, coal, that they are very reluctant to go for an embargo. Hungary also has expressed opposition. So I think it's going to be really hard to get an EU-wide embargo on Russian energy. A key question is, will Congress force Germany's hand? Will they potentially impose secondary sanctions like it did on Iran, which would force refiners in Germany not to take the Russian product? But for now, we still have a significant division over how willing Europe is to really penalize Russia when it comes to Russian energy exports.
Would we see Europe break, where part of Europe goes along with it and maybe Germany and Hungary don't?
But the question is, we could certainly see that. But the question is, will it be effective? As long as Germany remains a holdout, that still is a significant economic lifeline to Vladimir Putin, because he's going to continue to sell oil to India, to China, potentially in less volume than he was before, because a number of companies are pulling back from doing business with Russia. But as long as Germany is continuing to take Russian commodity imports, Putin's going to have a financial lifeline.
Halima, you're in the Middle East right now, doing an extended tour there. What do you see? What do you hear? What's the feeling you get from the places you've been visiting at this point? How are they kind of reacting to everything?
I mean, I think it's going to be very important to watch what happens in Saudi Arabia. I mean, they are the only country sitting on significant spare capacity. And the Saudi foreign ministry came out yesterday basically saying, look, we are suffering an onslaught of Houthi attacks on our critical energy infrastructure. There were 5 key facilities that were hit over the weekend by missiles, by drones. And they're essentially saying, don't look to us to make up for any shortfalls in this market if Western nations, if the United States is not willing to guarantee our security. And so I think this is going to become a really big issue, because we do have the Iranian nuclear negotiations. There is concern in this region that the United States is going to cut a deal with Iran that leaves them with more money, but no curbs on their regional activities, no curbs on their missile programs, that will leave countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE exposed. So they're essentially saying, look, you want us to help us, you need to think about what you're going to do for our security interests in the region.
I did notice over the weekend a sort of unusual statement that came out, I believe, from the National Security Advisor's office, talking about the situation with the Houthis. And it kind of struck me as something like, OK, this I haven't seen in the past. This sounds like this is something involved in all of this. But if Saudi Arabia is not going to pump more, how can they say don't go to Iran and ask them for help, too?
I mean, Becky, I think this is a really important question, because right now we have this sort of break in the Iran talks. And one of the big hangups is this issue of, will the United States remove the Revolutionary Guard from being a foreign terrorist organization, that designation that the State Department gives? And the question is, if you remove them, are you going to get any, promises from the Iranians that they will not be supporting armed groups like the Houthis? This is a big issue in these negotiations right now. And even if we were to get an Iran deal, Becky, I think it's important to understand it's still going to be a situation where Iran's going to have to become compliant with the terms of any new agreement. They are not sitting on the ability to ramp up millions of barrels quickly. Only Saudi Arabia can really put significant numbers of barrels on this market immediately. Hence, the White House has to continue to ask Saudi Arabia for more barrels if they want more barrels to deal with the Russia situation. Iran's not going to solve this problem in the near term.